which is Rafi from Alive Not Dead, who's on the contrary have launched a while back, so plenty of experience to share. So without further ado.
Thank you very much. Great talk by Mikaal as well. Let's wait for them to get the slides up. I guess my talk will be a little bit more of a history lesson. I'll run through kind of the history of our company and sort of through there perhaps mention some kernels of lessons that we've learned along the way. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Do I click or what?
Yeah.
Or swipe. Oops. This swipe. Okay, so first of all, let me introduce our website if you're not familiar with it. AliveNotDead.com is an international community for artists and their fans. And we have actually 600,000 plus members, registered members, and that includes about 1,800 official artist pages. Next. Okay, and background, are you guys familiar with the movie Heavenly Kings, which came out here in Hong Kong in 2006? Chinese name was Sei Da Tin Wang. It was actually a mockumentary about the entertainment industry done by 4 Hong Kong actors who actually pretended, kind of like Spinal Tap, they pretended to be a boy band and they went out and did performances. And at the end, they surprised everyone by releasing a film showing how the Hong Kong entertainment industry is basically broken, how good artists are going undiscovered, and the focus of the media is always about like tabloid things, and it was actually a very controversial but popular sort of independent film, and it raised sort of a lot of problems with the entertainment industry which exist in Hong Kong as well as other places. So the nice thing is that they created a website when they did this project called AliveNotDead.com, which had a very strong user base. At that time, it was about 20,000 users who signed up just to be fans of this fake boy band, which at the time people didn't even know was fake until the movie came out. And so after the movie came out, people stayed on the website, and the idea was, from the 4 actors, is can we turn this property into something more? The movie maybe raised problems that exist in the entertainment world. Can we use the website as a way to solve it? Can we create an online community where artists who would never otherwise get mainstream exposure in Hong Kong can sort of have their work be shared and discovered by the general public? The other thing that existed at the time was, of course, keep in mind 2007, was that Facebook existed in the US but basically didn't really exist in Asia almost at all. People were still talking about MySpace to some degree here, but it was still also pretty new. So we thought, okay, Asia has not yet had the sort of social network revolution at the time, so could we create something in that respect as well? So our 2 co-founders are actually the founders of RottenTomatoes.com, which they sold in 2004 to IGN, which then sold to Fox. So they teamed up with the 4 sort of celebrity faces of the Alive guys to create AliveNotDead.com. Next slide. So we basically created a system where some sort of celebrities can have their official pages, and then fans can then follow their blogs. The artists can share their blogs, they can share videos, they can share MP3s, etc., their latest work. And then again, keep in mind, this was before Facebook fan pages, this was before Weibo accounts. So at the time, this was pretty novel. The thought that I, as a fan of Daniel Wu, or in this case Joey Young, could go and leave her a guest quote comment, knowing that she's actually controlling this page and has the ability to write back. So at the time, we were pretty novel. And one of the key differentiations that we had was, unlike MySpace, all of our official account, all of our artist pages were verified. It was actually, it's really Daniel Wu typing the message. It's really Nicholas Xie, with the bad grammar and missed typos and things like that. So from a user point of view, it was actually very special. Especially keeping in mind in 2007, there was a layer of insulation between the artist and the fan. So what you would see, you would sort of get the tabloid version of the personal lives of the celebrity, but they had no way of directly communicating to their fans in a mass way online. And so we found that this interaction was actually one of our key differentiators. Okay, next slide. And here's some of the examples of the artists that we got to sign up. So if you look from sort of an Asian entertainment point of view, through our network, through the artists on our site, referring other artists, we actually got some really good headway. Some of the top Hong Kong stars, some top mainland stars, as well as Taiwanese and Asian American stars as well. So we have now 1,800 plus official artists. There's also a lot who are kind of behind the scenes people or up and coming artists who you've never heard of. But then we found that sort of to have a vibrant community, you can't just have all superstars. You also need kind of the up and coming guys who are looking to make the big break. Okay, next slide. We also, as a sort of a way to cement ourselves in the community, also created official websites for a lot of celebrities. So if you go to JackieChan.com or KarenMock.com, it was also created by us and powered by our back end. But the front end is sort of a personalized version as well. And again, this is in the pre-Weibo days and pre-Facebook fan pages. So at the time, having an official website for an artist was kind of a must-have. So for us, that was also one way to get Karen Mock involved on Alive Not Dead, is to also create a version that's KarenMock.com. So if she's going to put a URL on the back of her CD, obviously it's going to be her own personal website. So we wanted to have a way to integrate those two as well. Okay, next slide. And sort of through our connections and the thought that we were creating like a community for artists, we have very strong brand identity and sort of an affinity within the artist community. And they're sort of, just by making some trucker hats, we end up getting a lot of exposure sort of in an inadvertent way. So the picture on the left, for example, this was Nicholas Z on his way to the Beijing Olympics, where he was going to perform in the opening ceremony. The day before, he got ambushed at the airport by the paparazzi, and then all of a sudden, all these girls in China wanted to buy that hat through our website. So we've had some surprises like that. The one in the middle is actually from a TVB drama. One of the artists actually wore her personal hat in the show, and then 6 months later, when the show, after they filmed it, when it was online, or when it was on air, again, everyone's like, "Oh, I just saw Linda Chung wearing that hat." So these are things that we didn't even plan, but this sort of happened, and it's something that we can use to show, that's really Nicholas Z's blog on Alana Dead, because as you can see, he actually has the hat and wears it. Okay, next slide. And as a business, we found that having this access to the artists and also the fans, people, up on entertainment, was very valuable to brands. Talking about monetization, we have done display ads, but we found that the real value is not necessarily just on that banner ad, but it's actually access to that kind of crowd. So we worked from, on a whole range of things, from social media marketing to event marketing to partnerships with a variety of brands, including, the biggest ones, Adidas, Diesel, Coca-Cola. We worked here in Hong Kong with TVB, and also we work closely with Nokia often. Some of them are very, I would say, untraditional, non-traditional. Starbucks, for example. Starbucks has a store in the Culture Center in TST, and they wanted to find artists to put artwork in the store. And so in this case, our partnership is a sort of a non-commercial one, but basically they asked us to find artists to display work in their coffee store. So we've already done, I think it's been 2 cycles already, where we find local artists and then Starbucks displays their artwork. So not all of these are sort of direct financial transactions, but they are sort of supporting the arts. And in this case, obviously the exposure of working with brands like Starbucks is also good for us as well. And so, this is some of the partners we work with. Next slide. And we do a lot of have had the opportunity through this network to do a lot of very interesting work. This was from a couple of years ago. We actually worked with Linkin Park when they came to do a concert in Macau. They wanted to do a local band search, and since we had met them through Music Matters conference, we met their manager, they actually approached us and said, "Hey, can you guys do a band search?" They knew that we knew sort of all the local bands, the indie bands who would love to have a chance to play at a concert for 12,000 people. And so we organized the band search and obviously got a lot of attention. And basically you could say this was for the Venetian, who was hosting the concert. We worked closely with them as well as with the band, and even getting the band to make an official Alive Not Dead page and do an introductory video to encourage fans to, and bands to join. So this was a really good result, and it sort of showed the reach that we have, where we actually have an official Lincoln Park page on Alive Not Dead. Next slide. As I mentioned, we have sort of the capability and the sort of unique situation where we have direct contact with celebrities, and one of the most valuable things we found with that is the offline events. So online ads are great and all that, but the media value of getting a celebrity, in this case in a Halloween costume, standing in front of the logos of different sponsors is also quite valuable. So we found sort of to pay the bills, a lot of our revenue has been generated through events, which, if you look at it from a social network point of view, at that point, are you really a social network, or are you an events planning company who happens to have a very good guest list that you developed online? So this is some of the sort of identity crisis that you might face. At some point, it's like, am I just using the website to create events that I actually earn my revenue from? So something to keep in mind as well. Next slide. And here's some press coverage of some of the things. So obviously Halloween party. In the case of TVB, we had a very interesting, actually 1-year partnership event. They did a music TV show on tvb.com, actually broadcast online and then later broadcast through their regular TV channels. And we were sort of the logistical and music partner, where we lined up the bands to perform on this monthly event, which then turned into a weekly music show. So again, from a partnership point of view, it was interesting, but it was also very event-centric as well. Okay, next. So let's get to the sort of the hard lessons that we've learned. So I've given you a history lesson, but you might be thinking, okay, well, where is AliveNotDead.com right now? Everyone here probably has a Facebook page. Everyone has maybe a Twitter account or a Weibo account. So obviously, we're not the dominant social network here in Hong Kong. So one of the lessons that we learned, and this is something that you can take away, I think, as well, is that the market changes. So as I mentioned, in 2007, there was no real Facebook in Hong Kong, whereas now if I'm on the MTR and I'm listening to people speaking Cantonese, I can hear the word in English, Facebook, being used as a verb quite often. So obviously, it's become sort of dominant. We saw that 54% of all Hong Kong people, I guess, have social media accounts, whereas 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that number was much, much lower. So blogging, which is what our platform was basically designed around, has also suffered as people are pushing towards, microblogs and Weibo and status updates on Facebook. So if you look at the rate of blogging, like maybe 5 years ago, anyone who was online, maybe they had a Yahoo blog here in Hong Kong, how many people, or Zanga, even older, how many people still update those? Literally like 0.1%. So we face the same problem. The celebrities, maybe they still have an official blog, they still have an official website, and they have a Weibo, and they have a Facebook, and all of their attention is now focused on the lowest common denominator, which is basically, tweeting pictures of what they had for lunch and things like that. So, it happens for artists as well. You can explain to them, like, okay, from a professional point of view, it's important for you to sort of catalog your accomplishments in a non sort of 140 character format, but ultimately celebrities are busy people too, just like everyone else, and they'll tweet while they're on the set about whatever they happen to be doing at that time, and then when you ask them, well, did you write a blog about that, they say, oh, I'm too busy to write a blog. But well, obviously they have time to tweet, they just look at it differently, just like everyone else. People spend a lot of time with the easiest thing to do, which in this case, at the current technology, is maybe writing status updates from your mobile phone app. And so in our case, we were looking at celebrities and fans, but that's also been taken over by Facebook. So Facebook has fan pages. Weibo has, most of their growth has been through specifically celebrity pages, verified celebrity pages. So sort of we were, I guess, if I were to be look back at that, I'd say we were ahead of our time. We created something that now has been sort of become the bread and butter for Weibo, and it's hard to compete against someone like Sina or Facebook with their resources. Let's go to the next slide.